All right, time for another market update. So market just closed. We're Wednesday, the 7th of September. Now we had a bounce in the markets. Wasn't too surprising. We did predict that we might go sideways. I thought, look, we'd come down to this circle here, the ascending support. I'm looking at the SPY here. And I still believe that we will go sideways. Will we take out 401, 400, 401? Maybe, but I still think we go sideways along this descending line. And at some point before we hit the descending resistance, before we hit sort of, where are we now? 420-ish. We'll roll over, test this 388 and then flush down. So I still think short, medium term, we're going down. Sorry, medium term we're going down, but in the immediate short term, we could still go sideways to up. I mean, the markets closed pretty much at high of day. And it was a decent bounce, almost 2%, 1.5%, 2% across the indices. So I think we will get a bit of resistance at 401. Maybe it will start early at 400, just before 400. But the thing is, we have a bit of a news cycle tomorrow. What do we have? We have ECB talking and actual monetary policy decision statement. So, big event followed by Fed Chair Powell. So, that will move the markets. But generally speaking, I always feel like price action gives an excuse for events. So people always blame some sort of news, but in the end, the chart was indicating that move the whole time. So what do I think is going to happen? I thought maybe we would bounce. We did bounce. Now, how long will we bounce for? Not too long, in my opinion. So, we'll move. We'll probably test 401. When the ECB and the Fed talk, whenever there is a statement or any news like GDP, non-farm payrolls, any of these big events, I always notice if you really zoom in on a 1 minute, immediately when the news breaks, it's just a total whipsaw. The price will go up, the price will go all the way back down. You can buy or sell anything and make money because it will completely seesaw and return to the scene of the crime. So it's all about what's the move, the direction of the price after everyone's digested the statements or the policy. And also you have the Q&A following the statements usually. So it's really where the markets close that counts tomorrow more than what they do immediately upon hearing the news of the ECB or the Fed. So I think we'll creep up, we'll test this area, we'll come back down. The news will break, and obviously there's two pieces of news. We could spike above, come back down, but overall we go sideways to up, and then at some point we fail this ascending line, and then we roll over with a little pit stop at this previous low here at 388, call it 389 by then. So yeah, now still, despite my short-term bearish outlook remaining still bearish, it was a quite nice bounce. Now the Nasdaq, all the indices look the same. So, it's the thing is the Nasdaq lost its ascending support, but it doesn't matter. The SPY, the Dow, and the Russell already held. So they all bounced and the Nasdaq had the same chart pattern. So all four totally identical. And they all have the same sort of immediate resistance, not too far away. VIX, nothing to speak of, it's just the opposite. So could come back down, but it's got a bit of support here. But the VIX tends to not have as strict adherence to technical analysis, I feel, because it's just dependent on the other indices and so many other elements. So, but still worth paying attention to. Its resistance at 28. Now, what else can we look at? We can look at the DAX. I was suggesting that the DAX would test 12,600 and then eventually 12,400. Now we tested 12,600 1 or 2 days ago. We bounced, and actually, unlike the other days, the DAX stopped early with the US markets going higher. So the DAX could break out of this little range here and test, maybe even breach 13,000. Again, my outlook is totally bearish for the DAX. I mean, we're going to take out 12,400 in my opinion. We're just having a very short term bounce here. So, and again, it could all be short lived. I don't want to go into too much what the ECB or the Fed will say. I think they're going to scare the markets, talk about interest rates having to go up, and then the party's over. So I still think this week we could easily get a test of 12,400 in the DAX, and the same goes for the SPY, you know, testing their lows that we just looked at. So, but still, we could start the day quite positive because of how strong US markets closed after the DAX closed. So very short term, slightly bullish, but you know, 1 or 2 days later, immediately bearish. Now, those are just the stock markets.
The connection reestablished.
Now we're looking at the dollar. Now, this is interesting. The dollar has been bullish for a while. I hold a lot of dollars on the sidelines, so I really don't mind the dollar going up. However, this ascending support was lost today, closed at the lows. And actually, I feel like the dollar could come down because we've had a hell of a move, number one. It's very much extended, and I feel like we could come down even to 108, which is still extremely high. I mean, if we zoom out, look at this absolutely ridiculous move. So all I'm talking about is it coming down to there. And also, look, we've just taken out this weekly, even monthly resistance, and you know, 1 or 2 days later, it would look like a failed breakout. So it could be a failed breakout, come back down to 108, maybe even lower. I've already said 104, 103 is still bullish. And then we resume the uptrend all the way up to 120. So immediately short term, bearish the dollar because that's an engulfing bearish candle, quite simply. So yeah, bearish the dollar, bullish the stock markets in the very, very short term. Although I still think the dollar could come down longer than the for a longer period than the markets can go up, if that makes sense. Interest rates, which always coincide with the same pattern as the dollar, they also came down. Okay, ignore this. It's reset because the market's closed. But yeah, interest rates came down. So let's just look at the daily to get a better idea. Now it's nothing too crazy, but still, it's kind of like a double top failed breakout for now. I still think we go up long term, even medium term, but you know, a red day on all of them. Noticeably, the 30-year had a very nice close to a new high yesterday, but still, interest rates came down today, along with the dollar index. And actually, the euro reclaimed its 1-to-1 parity because it was under 1-to-1 against the dollar for a few days. So, and it closed above $1, 1-to-1. Yeah, so the opposite of what we've seen for a few days. Markets bouncing for once, dollar going down, interest rates going down. Let's look at gold and silver. So gold had a very nice day. It's bounced very nicely. In the immediate short term, it's hitting its head against this resistance. I feel like it will take it out. Why? Well, because I think the dollar can keep going down for a few days. It depends again what Powell says and the ECB. So really, this almost doesn't make sense because by tomorrow everything can change. So there is that to take account of. But silver in particular really took out its downtrend. Silver was very strong today, 2.5% move. So a very nice sort of double bottom, higher low on the second part. So here's the first bottom, here's the second, and it's broken out of the downtrend. So this is nice and bullish. If it wasn't for Fed and Lagarde, for Powell and Lagarde speaking tomorrow, if there were no news events, I would be bullish this for sure. At least till move to 19.4, because on top of that, we're also, the breakout coincides with coming out of this previous low. So there's like 3 or 4 technical indicators to me that signal, a bullish move here. So very probable that we go up, but then again, with Powell and Lagarde, the markets can just totally tank. They can say something which is very pro interest rates hike, which would then just pour cold water all over the precious metals. So unfortunately, it almost doesn't matter what the technicals are today because of tomorrow just trumping it. But still, with that said, oil is very interesting. Now we did notice this flush here. I did suggest, look, we're at the ascending line, but if it flushes, oil can have a lot of momentum on the downside. And that's what we saw today, -6%. That's a pretty big move. We've seen bigger moves in oil. There have been 10, I think even 20%. Sorry, getting attacked by mosquitoes. -10 to 20% down days in oil. So 6% isn't unheard of, but it's a big move. I think 80. I think I suggested 82, 83, low 80s was support, and we're there. So this is kind of a support zone. I think a lot of people are willing to buy this, but again, tomorrow with what Powell says, it will, if it tanks markets, oil could tank too. If the dollar goes up, it could put pressure on oil too. So it's a bit special because of what's coming tomorrow, but I think it's worth noting oil's flush of the ascending support. And I mean, if you buy here, because the move was so big today, you're catching a falling knife. And in fact, it closed at the low of day completely, you can tell. So the selling is probably not done. 80 will probably be support. I still think here is kind of support. So even before, I thought 84 might be support, but we just went right through. Not sure. I think people who are bullish oil, you could take a little bit of a position here and then give it some room. It could go lower. It could go to the 70s. 76. I would take a position here if I was bullish, but I mean, I'm kind of bullish oil long term, I guess, but not enough to take a position. I just feel like there are better opportunities. So, but I mean, if oil was to just tank for some ridiculous reason, I would definitely go in. I mean, I think low 60s, just complete, green light for me. I would just buy ExxonMobil, Chevron, get some junior oil stock, maybe even buy some WTI outright. I don't know. But it's not for me right here, but it's worth keeping an eye on. I mean, with oil going down, it helps the government be able to claim that inflation is lower because oil takes a big part of the inflation numbers, at least for the energy prices that average consumers have to endure. So that's it. I'm gonna keep it short today because I'm getting absolutely obliterated by mosquitoes. And I mean, my portfolio was obviously up quite nicely today because of the bounce in gold and silver stocks, especially silver. And look at these, like I suggested, these move a lot on any bounce. Kel Darlen, EXK, I expected more on EXK actually. Fortuna Silver, AG, these are the junior speculators moving as I would expect them to move. Rainer Silver that I bought yesterday off 21, that had an almost 20% move today, so that was good. I took a bit of profit here, and the rest I'll take here. That will complete the selling of what I bought down here in 2 tranches. But otherwise, and actually the numbers for TradingView that I'm using are a bit off. Newmont was actually up 2.6%. I don't know what's wrong with the numbers, but still, the senior stocks didn't move as much as the junior silver aggressive stocks, which is what we expect. But still a pretty good day for gold and silver stocks. But anyway, let's see, because tomorrow it doesn't even matter the technicals today because of what the market will react to both central banks talking. So let's see. Good luck. I think it'll make more sense to have a longer video tomorrow after everyone's digested what those two have to say. So yeah, good luck. Thanks.